Welcome boys and girls from YouTube. My name is Sloth and this is SlothForge. In today's video we are going to dive deep into Fey Meander. Now, Fey Meander is probably one of the hardest content out there right now, and this is why I've been a little bit afraid of this content, to be honest with you, because it is very hard, and it is actually very hard to make a guide for this content just because there are 300 different waves, and I cannot just show you the perfect team because those 300 waves, they all look different, or most of them look different. So I cannot show you the perfect team because I think that even the strongest players, even players who have access to every single hero, have had struggle with some of the waves, and they still have to use some different teams as well, some different iterations of their teams as well. So instead of showing you the perfect team, I'm going to show you more of a strategy guide once again. So let's dive into it. Now, sadly, I cannot restart the waves, so we just use the drilling ground so I can show you some different teams or the strategies of the team. Now, first things first, the main strategy of the team. We try to tank. We have one tank, or maybe sometimes we are using two tanks. Then we have a healer, or maybe sometimes we use two healers. Then we use someone, like in this case, I've been using Sloth for nearly every single wave. He is insane. I really like Sloth. And we've been using him of a control support, because on his own he actually has not that much control. He has the silence debuff, or control effect, which is very useful. It's actually very useful. But apart from that, he has a fear buff as well, but fear debuff as well. But he is not the perfect control hero out there. There are heroes that have a built-in stun or can silence way more often than Sloth. But what makes him so perfect is that he has this multi-hitting AoE ultimate, and then there is this set, the Holy Hunter set. This is an amazingly strong set, and it helped me clear so many waves that I would have no chance without this set. So this is the main idea of the team. We have a tank or two, we have a healer or two, then we have someone who has a multi-hitting ultimate skill, who is applying some stuns, and then we have damage. We need one DPS unit. You always need one DPS unit. I think that you could actually clear some waves without any DPS unit, but yeah, we want to clear it within the next couple of days, don't we? Or, you know what I mean, yeah? You don't want your mobile phone to be completely empty just after clearing 2 or 3 waves. So this is why I would highly suggest everyone to use one DPS unit. But now, this is the main strategy. Now, let's talk a bit more in depth about the heroes that I've been using and why I've been using exact those heroes. First, Garius. Now, if you know me, if you've watched my other content as well, I just really like Garius. He's a very strong character, and there are some important parts, some crucial parts when it comes to your tank. You not only want high HP and good defense, you also, for Fey Meander, really need resistance for your tank. Also, your support heroes or your heal heroes really benefit from resistance, but they don't need it as much as your tank does. Your tank really needs resistance. And in this case, I'm using Garius with high resistance. Now let's talk a bit more in depth about his gear set. So actually the best gear set for Garius, or for your tank in general, is... Now where is it? Here. No, that's... Why are they wearing the set? I did not use Nathaniel for days now. This is strange. Oh, it's no problem. So this is Fey. My Fey set for Garius. No, this is not my Fey set for Garius. What is happening? Did some... Now, what is wrong here? It just changed my set. Are you kidding me? Okay, this is super strange. I'm so sorry, guys. The idea is, on my perfect Garius, I'm not using this set, but I'm using the Revenge of the Fallen set, So the same stats, we wanted defense, HP, and resistance, but the Revenge of the Fallen set is a little bit better, because first, it provides a bit more of resistance, so it makes just building him with resistance a bit more easy, but also he just can reflect some of the damage. And this is actually very useful. It is also it's fun to watch just dealing, it's fun to watch your Garius dealing a bit amount of damage, because normally your Garius is dealing nearly no damage at all, but with this set he's actually dealing a little bit of damage. And if you could somehow provide a 100% healing reduction on the whole enemy team for the whole fight, then Garius could actually solo some stages just with this set. So this is how strong this set is. But I've been using him just because I have not enough sets from the Revenge of the Fallen, and I also like the Tundra Tenacity set a lot. This is why I've been using the Tenacity set, because it just helps your Garius to spam his ultimate way more often. Because he is getting many hits, and also those small tiny hits, those tiny basic attacks, they just help him to reach his ultimate so much faster, which just helps your whole team surviving. And that's it. Now, one last thing to mention is the Prismatic Cloak is absolutely not needed. It is handy, it is useful, but I've actually been using the cloak just because I have not a single resistance negative rune. So this is why I've been using this cloak, and I've been using this cloak at plus 16. I just upgraded it like in the last hour or two for some PvP content, but I've been using this artifact on plus 16 to clear stage 16. So you do not need that much resistance. Actually, especially if you are using Tauren, you're absolutely fine as long as your Garius reaches 260 resistance, because you can use the aura that Tauren provides. Now, when it comes to resisting some debuffs and control effects, there is always a little bit of RNG involved, so it is not 100% reliable. Even if you have like 500 resistance, you still just will get hit by some debuffs here and there. So it's not the end of the world. Just try the wave again, and then you will probably resist the debuff. I'm sorry. Okay, so this is our tank. Now let's talk about the healer. And in this case, I've been using Tauren, and I would highly suggest everyone to use Tauren, because he is a free-to-play legendary, and he is extremely strong. Now, once again, I have not built the perfect Tauren. I could use a way better negative rune, and also using the Solar King's Horn at plus 16, and it would just help a lot if it is plus 20, just because it provides a bit more tankiness. But as you can see, he is already extremely tanky, and he could use a bit more enlightenment, because his heal scales off enlightenment. But that's it pretty much. This is your Tauren, built him with high HP and defense, with a little bit of enlightenment if possible. If possible, a bit more enlightenment than mine has. But yeah, that's your Tauren. So then one last thing to mention when it comes to Tauren is his ultimate. His ultimate is extremely strong. It is insane. Just because he is applying this invisibility buff to everyone except the hero that got the mark. And now if you are placing them like this, then always your tank, in this case Garius, gets the mark. So everyone except for Garius get the invisibility buff. And this is so insanely strong, because in some waves there are heroes like Sloth or Questitia, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, who just jump into your backline and kill your DPS units or your support, your control units, which is very annoying and can screw the run over. So it is extremely useful if you just can make your whole backline invisible, and therefore force your enemy team to focus on your tank again. So this is why I really like Tauren, and even if you have access to some other extremely strong legendary healers, you should probably use Tauren just because of his ultimate. But now when it comes to this ultimate, this is very important to note, is that you will probably have to manual some stages. So especially when it comes to the last stages of Fey Meander, you probably need to manual them just because they are so hard. Now, of course, you also have the option to just wait a little bit, wait 2 or 3 weeks, until your Psyche core is fully maxed out. Then your heroes are just all way stronger. They are more tanky, but also dealing more damage. So once your Psyche core is fully maxed out, you probably will be able to clear all Fey Meander stages on full auto as well. But now this is the absolute core of every single team I've been using, every single wave I've been clearing. I've been using those two heroes, and in like 90% of the waves, I've been using Sloth as well. Just because he's so strong. He provides some good amount of control. He has the silence debuff, also this recharge speed penalty, which is very useful as well. And then, like I already said, he has this AoE hitting, multiple hitting ultimate skill, which is perfectly paired with the Witch Remains and the Holy Hunter set. Because now he can apply stun debuffs relatively frequently as well. And those stun debuffs are very, very strong. They are probably one of the strongest debuffs in this game, especially when it comes to Fey Meander and also PvP content, just for your information. That's it. That's my Sloth. As you can see, I've built him with very high attack. You definitely do not need this high amount of attack on your Sloth. Actually, I would suggest you to build him with a bit more of defensive stats, a bit more defense and HP. But the most important part about Sloth is high accuracy. And it can help to build him with high attack because his heal scales off attack, but it is not that big of an healing. So actually, I would suggest you to build him with a bit more defensive stats instead of high attack. That's it. That's Sloth. And those three heroes, you can use someone else for Sloth. I will talk about some alternatives for the heroes in the second part of the video, but there are definitely many alternatives for Sloth. But those three heroes, and especially this gear set, they are the core of the team. Now, let's talk about the flexible slot. Let's call it the flexible slot. I've been using Acilia now for this flexible slot because she can be both. She can be like a tank hero. She can also be like more of a support healer. And this is actually what you want in your flexible slot. You either want someone who is able to tank as well, so maybe you just play a second tank, or you just play a second healer. But if you use this exact team, then you already have a lot of healing. Garius can heal, Tauren can heal high amount. Also Sloth is healing a little bit, especially with those talents. So healing is probably not the most needed stat that you need right now. But it is, like I said, the flexible slot, and it just depends a little bit on your personal roster. You can definitely use a healer or a tank in this slot, and it will be fine with both ways. You can also use, and some waves need this, you can also use an support and control hero, and control focused hero in this slot. Now, one very good example in the epic category is Iola. Let me look. Here's Iola, because she applies many useful debuffs. She can place also the stunt debuff. She can place a silence debuff, which is both very useful, and she can also apply attack penalty. And once again, she has an AoE multi-hitting ultimate, so she also is perfectly fine for the Holy Hunter set. So, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with using two heroes in the Holy Hunter set. It can actually help you to reach higher stages, higher waves, to clear higher waves way easier. So this is your flexible slot. Either go with a second tank, a second healer, or someone who is supporting, someone who is controlling. And actually, in some waves, or if your heroes are strong enough, you also could use a DPS unit for your flexible slot. But that's it for the flexible slot. Now let's talk about your DPS unit real quick, because it is relatively obvious. It is just a unit that is able to deal high amounts of AoE damage. Now, I've been using Lelvanis because she is dealing very good amounts of AoE damage, but there are many different options when it comes to AoE DPS. But like I said, we will talk about the alternatives right after we've been talking about the heroes in particular. Let me check my notes real quick. If I mentioned everything that I wanted to mention, and I think that's it actually. Yeah, so this is the core idea of this team. Tank, heal, and a bit of control. So now, let's go to the second part. Let's talk about some alternatives. For example, when it comes to your tank, there are alternatives. For example, Urion is extremely strong because he also provides some very useful buffs, helps your team just stay alive, also has this attack penalty debuff, and he, just like Gyarius, is extremely hard to kill. There are other options as well. You could use, for example, Fey Meander, who's very nice, and maybe even Bion Frey, because he also can apply some useful debuffs. He is also able to place a stunt debuff on 2 of his skills, and he can taunt the enemies, which helps your backline or can help your backline a lot. Also, a very, very interesting character is Garika. She's also extremely versatile because not just is she very tanky, she can also keep the enemy ultimate energy down while also keeping her ultimate energy up. So she can spam her ultimate, deal a lot of damage, and place this buff prohibition, which is also very useful in many, many waves when it comes to Fey Meander. So those are your options when it comes to the tank category. And of course, there are other options as well. But probably if you do not have any of the mentioned legendary heroes, you should definitely use Gyarius. And even if you have those legendary heroes, you're absolutely fine with the Gyarius. As you can see, I cleared stage 300 with Gyarius for every single wave. Same with Tauren. Absolutely no reason not to use Tauren. He's super useful, even if you have someone like Mithrasia. Like, she's an exclusive premium support hero. Even then, I've been using Tauren more than Mithrasia, just because he is so strong. Now, when it comes to Sloth, there are many options. But as long as you have a hero who has a multiple hitting ultimate skill, that's it. That's the most important part for your control support hero. As long as he is a good hero for the hunters, for the Holy Hunter set, and also can hold the Witch Remains, you're absolutely fine. So for example, I already told you that Boris is very, very strong for this as well, because he also has this multi-hitting ultimate, which hits the whole field. So you give Boris a try, but there are obviously many other options as well. Now, when it comes to Cilia, I said that she is the most flexible slot. Some very good epic heroes instead of Cilia are, for example, Estelle or Catherine, because they both can heal for very good amount of damage. They also can place debuff immunity, which just helps your team a lot. And they are, generally speaking, just very good performing epic heroes. So those are 2 very strong examples if you do not for your flexible slot. And once again, of course, there are many other options as well. Adolphus, he's also a 100% free-to-play unit. Everyone got Adolphus, and he's also very strong. He provides very big shields and also can heal your heroes. So you can give Adolphus a try as well. Now, let's talk about your DPS unit. And once again, there are many options, but preferably you want an AoE DPS unit for most of the waves. So you want something like Levanas, Yorn. I saw many people using Yorn and had very good success with Yorn because he can deal a good amount of damage, and he also deals damage in those AoE areas, which is very, very useful. Theoretically, you also could use Filto, but you want Filto to use him with someone who enables rally. So Filto on his own is probably not the strongest option, but he is possible as well. Now, Oster also is extremely strong, and he does not need any other Frost hero. He can deal enough damage on his own, probably. And another extremely strong hero is Premza. I really like Premza, and I've actually been using Premza many waves instead of Levanas. But in the end, I've been using Levanas just because she's a dragon lady transforming into a dragon, which is just so nice, isn't it? And there are some epic options as well. For example, Vidimir is very good for an epic hero, but probably if you have access to a legendary AoE damage dealing unit, you should use the legendary unit. But if you do not have a single AoE DPS legendary unit, you can, for example, use Vidimir. So these were the honorable mentions. Now let me look at my notes real quick if I forgot anything. Yeah, of course, now there is someone, for example, like Ogog, who's also very interesting for your flexible slot, or your, instead of Asilia, for the flexible slot, like I said, because he also provides very useful stuff. He's healing, he places immortality buff, he's attack penalty, he applies attack penalty, so he is very useful as well. But I think that's it for the alternatives. Now, let me show you two honorable mentions. And the first honorable mention is Vinyara. Vinyara is so strong. And in some particular waves, you will probably need Vinyara. Because with her ultimate, she's able to take one hero completely out of the game. So for example, I'm thinking about those Electribi waves. Electribi is extremely strong and she's so annoying because her ultimate is so strong. It provides ultimate energy for the whole team while also stealing your whole team's ultimate energy. It is so annoying and it can screw up your whole team. So this is why Vinyara is extremely strong. She on her own can keep the ultimate energy of Electribi below 100% for the whole fight. But if you want to use Vinyara for this particular case, then you have to manual the fight. But like I said, there are many fights, a lot of fights, where you actually want to have to manual just because they are extremely strong. It is extremely strong just like it is, and you have to manual. And actually, if you want to make perfect usage of your Sloth, you also have to manual here and there, because he is placing his ultimate most of the times in the front row, so he's more focusing the tanks. But it is, of course, better used, especially compared with the stun set and the Witch Remains on the backline. So you can just take those damage dealers out of the battle a bit faster. So this is why, generally speaking, it is a bit more, it helps a lot. Let's say it like this. It helps a lot if you manual the fights. If you're struggling with the fights, then you should probably manual some fights. You don't have to manual every single fight with this team. Actually, this team with the flexible slot is able to clear many waves, especially up to stage 250, I would say. You can clear most waves easily on full auto. And the second honorable mention is Gulende, for not just particular Gulende, but the heal reduction that he provides. I already mentioned that heal reduction is extremely valuable in the Fey Meander battles, and especially Gulende is so strong because he can apply those heal reduction debuffs, heal your team a little bit, place this attack penalty debuff, which is just extremely useful on full AoE, by the way, and also he can dispel all debuffs from your team. And dispelling all those debuffs is so useful. It is very useful, just it is what it is, because there are so annoying debuffs. You can also cleanse like those buff prohibition debuffs, which can get very annoying as well. And so this is why, if you have someone who is able to cleanse debuffs, you will probably use him in many waves. But now, if you do not have anyone who's able to cleanse debuffs, it is actually no problem. And this is the final honorable mention that I want to show you. There is an extremely strong and valuable combination of artifacts and stats. It is the combination of the Gatekeeper's staff and the Sky Code treaty set. Because if you use the Gatekeeper staff, your over here gets converted into a shield. And with the Sky Code treaty set, every time you place a shield, you can dispel one debuff from a target. So you can actually use even your epic heroes like Estelle or Catherine to dispel debuffs. This is very useful, and of course, once again, there is a little bit of RNG involved because you cannot choose from who they are going to dispel debuff, but this is, generally speaking, a very, very strong combination of artifacts and sets. And I think that's it for today's video. Now, there is one last thing I want to mention real quick. It's another extremely useful set, and it is the Puppeteers set. Now, what is it called? It is called... no. Where is it? The Puppeteers Inspiration set. This is the set I've been looking for. This is also very, very useful because it also provides a bit of resistance, which is useful, but it also provides ultimate energy for your team, and this helps your team just to spam the ultimates more and more. So, and if you're Garius and Corin, if they are spamming the ultimates more, then your team has way less problems with staying alive. But that's it. I think that's it. I mentioned everything important. Resistance on your tank, and you can also build resistance on your healer or your support, your control units as well, but you don't have to. And yeah, that's it. That's it for today's video. I hope that it helped most people out there. If you have any further questions, feel free to comment below. I'm very interested in your opinions. And stay tuned, because soon I will post the link to my personal Discord where we can discuss strategies a bit more in depth and where you can reach out with your questions and you can get answers even faster than here in the comment section. But that's it for today's video. See you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in, guys.